I stood behind a pillar at table 17, watching my cousin Miranda's wedding reception unfold like a political summit. Her fiancé Derek came from the kind of family that measured worth in country club memberships and corporate board seats. "Emma, you're blocking the photographer's sight line," Aunt Patricia said without looking at me. "Could you move?" I stepped aside, clutching my small purse. The invitation had arrived late with no +1 option, despite every other cousin receiving one. When I'd asked Miranda about it, she'd laughed uncomfortably. "You're not dating anyone seriously, right? We're keeping numbers manageable." I knew exactly 3 people at this wedding: Miranda, Aunt Patricia, and my mother, who'd barely acknowledged me since arriving, too busy networking with Derek's family. The Cunninghams had made their judgment clear at last night's rehearsal dinner. Derek's mother Constance had asked what I did with a tone that expected disappointment. "Political consulting," I'd said simply. "Oh, how nice. Like making phone calls." She'd smiled with practiced condescension. "Derek's sister is a pharmaceutical lobbyist. Real politics." Derek's father Richard had been more direct. "Young people today think any job title makes them important. You earn respect through connections and results." I'd smiled politely. They had no idea I'd spent 6 years building a consulting firm, managing 3 successful congressional campaigns, or that I currently directed Senator Michelle Thornton's re-election strategy, one of the most powerful politicians in the state. They didn't need to know. I kept my professional life private, especially from family who'd dismissed me for years. While Miranda pursued her MRS degree, I'd worked full-time finishing my political science degree at night. While she dated men for their family connections, I'd built real connections through competence. "Ladies and gentlemen, please form the reception line," the coordinator announced. "The bride and groom will greet their important guests." I started toward the forming line, but Aunt Patricia intercepted me. "Emma, dear, the reception line is really for close family and the wedding party. Why don't you grab some appetizers?" My mother appeared beside her sister, nodding. "It'll move faster this way." I watched from a distance as Miranda and Derek greeted their guests. The mayor arrived. A congressman I'd helped elect 2 years ago. Several business owners. The photographer captured every handshake. Derek's best man Brad joined me at the appetizer table. "Not important enough for the reception line? Don't feel bad. They're only greeting people who matter. People with real influence." He gestured with his champagne. "Unlike some people with fancy-sounding job titles. Derek told me about you. Political consulting." He made air quotes. "Code for stuffing envelopes, right?" Build up. I excused myself and found my assigned seat, table 17, behind a pillar where the least important guests wouldn't obstruct anyone's view. My table mates were distant relatives and confused +1s. I checked my phone discreetly. 3 messages from my assistant about Senator Thornton's schedule. One from the senator herself. "How's the wedding? Don't let them get to you." I'd worked for Michelle Thornton for 4 years, becoming her campaign director 8 months ago. She was brilliant, principled, and ruthless when necessary, everything I aspired to be. She valued loyalty and competence over pedigree. "Attention everyone." Richard Cunningham stood at the microphone. "Thank you for celebrating Derek and Miranda's union. This wedding represents 2 wonderful families, and we're honored to have so many distinguished guests." He name-dropped for 5 minutes. Every important person in attendance, every connection his family had cultivated. The mayor, the congressman, business leaders, all got special mentions. "This is the kind of community we're proud of," Richard concluded. "People of substance and real accomplishment. People who understand that success is about who you know." My mother beamed from the head table, thrilled to be adjacent to such important people. The speeches continued through dinner. My table received food last. Miranda's maid of honor told sweet stories. Derek's best man joked about his friend settling down with someone from the right kind of family. Then Aunt Patricia took the microphone. "I'm so proud of Miranda. She's always understood what truly matters. Building the right relationships, marrying into a family of substance. She's never been distracted by silly career ambitions or false notions of independence." She looked directly at me. Several nearby guests followed her gaze. I kept my expression neutral. "That's the kind of wisdom that comes from good breeding," Constance added. Derek needs a wife who understands social standing, not someone chasing some fantasy of being a career woman. More air quotes. We're grateful he found someone who knows the value of proper connections. My mother nodded enthusiastically. She'd always been disappointed I hadn't followed Miranda's path. I considered leaving early. I'd fulfilled my obligation. But then I saw her. Through the main entrance, flanked by security, walked Senator Michelle Thornton and her husband James. My heart stopped. She wasn't supposed to be here. She had committee meetings in Washington all weekend. Our eyes met across the room. She smiled, her real smile, not her politician's smile, and walked directly toward me. The room's energy shifted. Conversations stopped. The band faltered. Senator Thornton was a force of nature, a 3-term senator who chaired 2 major committees and was considered a future presidential candidate. Miranda's face went pale. Richard straightened his tie. Aunt Patricia cycled through confusion, recognition, and panic. Senator Thornton walked past the head table without acknowledging anyone. She walked past Richard Cunningham's extended hand. She walked straight to table 17. Revelation. Emma. He pulled me into a warm hug. I'm so sorry I'm late. The committee meeting ran long, but I couldn't miss your cousin's wedding. Not when you've been working so hard while supporting your family. The ballroom fell silent. Every person stared. Senator Thornton, I managed. I didn't expect. James convinced me to catch a late flight. Your family should see how much you matter to us. She smiled at my stunned tablemates. I'm Michelle Thornton. Emma probably hasn't mentioned me. She's incredibly modest about her work. Richard appeared at our table, politician's smile in place. Senator Thornton, what an unexpected honor. I'm Richard Cunningham, the groom's father. If we'd known you were coming, we would have arranged proper seating. The seating is fine, Senator Thornton said coolly. I'm here to see Emma. She's seated exactly where I need to be. You know Emma? Constance materialized beside her husband. Know her? He's my campaign director. Has been for 8 months, on my team for 4 years. Senator Thornton's voice carried across the silent room. Emma's the reason I'm ahead in every poll. She's the reason my last 3 major bills passed. She's quite possibly the most talented political strategist I've ever worked with. Aunt Patricia's face drained of color. My mother looked faint. Campaign director? Brad said from behind us. I thought she stuffed envelopes. Senator Thornton turned to him, her expression arctic. Excuse me. Nothing, Senator. I misspoke. Brad practically tripped, backing away. Miranda approached, veil trembling. Emma, you never said you worked for Senator Thornton. You never asked what I actually did, I replied quietly. You assumed. When Emma told me about this wedding, I offered to write an introduction letter, Senator Thornton continued, addressing the room. Her politician's instincts had kicked in, she knew she had an audience. But she said it wasn't necessary, that she preferred keeping her professional life private. That's the discretion and humility that makes her invaluable. She paused. I understand there was some question about her connections and standing. Let me be clear. Emma has dinner with me twice monthly to discuss strategy. She has personal cell numbers of 15 senators, 23 congressional representatives, and most major state political donors. When the governor needs messaging advice, he calls Emma. When the party needs someone to turn around a failing campaign, they call Emma. Richard's face went from pale to red. He'd spent all evening boasting about connections, and now a sitting senator was explaining that the woman at the worst table had more real influence than his entire family combined. The congressman you were so proud to host? Senator Thornton gestured toward Congressman Morrison, who looked extremely uncomfortable. Emma managed his first campaign. He wouldn't be here without her. She chose not to take public credit because she prefers working behind the scenes. Aunt Patricia tried salvaging the situation. Senator, we had no idea. Emma never mentioned. She shouldn't have had to mention anything, Senator Thornton cut her off. How you've treated her tonight, excluding her from the reception line, seating her behind a pillar, making snide comments about her career. That's not about what she does. That's about your character, not hers. The photographer had stopped pretending. His camera was up, capturing everything. Guest headphones out. This would be on social media within the hour. Emma called me last week, upset about how her family was treating her, but still planning to come and be supportive. That's who she is, loyal even when that loyalty isn't returned. I decided someone needed to recognize that properly. She turned to me, voice softening. Emma, James and I are hosting a fundraising dinner next month. 500 a plate, all the real power players. I want you there as my guest of honor. It's time people knew exactly who's been behind our success. Resolution. Senator Thornton stayed 20 minutes. Every important guest swarmed our table, desperate for introductions. The mayor wanted to discuss his re-election strategy. Congressman Morrison apologized profusely for not recognizing me during his campaign. Richard tried repeatedly engaging Senator Thornton. She politely deflected, keeping focus on me. When she left, she whispered, "You deserve better than this, Emma. Don't forget that." The wedding never recovered. Miranda spent most of the evening crying in the bathroom. Derek's family huddled in angry conversations, furious their perfect society wedding had been upstaged. My mother approached near the end. "Emma, why didn't you tell us you were so important? Would it have mattered?" I asked. "Or would you have assumed I was exaggerating like you always do?" She had no answer. Aunt Patricia tried differently. "Emma, darling, perhaps you could introduce Richard to some contacts? He's looking to expand business relationships." "No," I said simply. "My connections aren't for sale or exploitation. They're built on trust and competence, two things this family has never valued." I left before the final dance. The photos were already trending online. Senator defends campaign director at wedding. Political power player hiding in plain sight. Senator Thornton called my secure line. "I hope I didn't overstep. You saved me from a miserable evening." Good. Also, 3 campaign managers called in the last hour asking if you're taking new clients. Your stock just went up considerably. By Monday my phone didn't stop ringing. News outlets wanted interviews. Other senators wanted meetings. The state party chairman called personally about consulting opportunities. Miranda sent one text, "I'm sorry. I didn't understand." I didn't respond. Understanding required caring enough to look beyond surfaces. She'd had 29 years. Derek's father called my office, trying to book a consultation about his political aspirations. My assistant told him my calendar was full indefinitely. The Cunningham family's standing took a hit. People who'd attended talked. Word spread about how they'd treated the senator's campaign director. Richard's country club questioned his membership renewal. Business deals quietly fell through. When you publicly humiliate someone with actual political connections, those connections remember. As for me, I kept doing what I'd always done. Working hard, building relationships based on competence, keeping most of it private. Family event invitations now arrived early with prominent seating and +1 options. I declined them all. Some bridges, once burned, aren't worth rebuilding. Senator Thornton's fundraising dinner was exactly as advertised. All the real power players. I wore a red dress and stood at her side as she introduced me, not as her employee but as her partner in success. "Emma doesn't chase power," she told the assembled donors and politicians. "She builds it quietly and effectively. That's the difference between real influence and the illusion of it." From the head table I could see the life I'd built through my own efforts. Respect earned through competence, connections built on trust, success achieved through hard work rather than family name. It was so much better than anything my family had ever valued. And they would never understand that, which was perhaps the most satisfying part of all. I sat at that head table, Senator Thornton to my right, the governor to my left, and realized something profound. The Cunninghams had spent generations cultivating the appearance of power. The right clubs, the right schools, the right last names. But when actual power walked into that wedding reception, it hadn't recognized them at all. It had recognized me. 3 weeks after the wedding, Richard Cunningham's primary business partner quietly dissolved their partnership. The partner's wife had been at the wedding, had watched the whole spectacle unfold, and had apparently asked some pointed questions about Richard's judgment and character. Derek's promotion at his father's firm was indefinitely postponed. Constance was asked to step down from her position on a non-profit board. Several board members were major donors to Senator Thornton's campaign and had seen the viral photos. Miranda and Derek postponed their honeymoon. Too much family business to handle, according to the apologetic voicemail she left me. I deleted it without responding. My mother made one more attempt, showing up at my office unannounced. My assistant turned her away. She taught me long ago that love was conditional on meeting her expectations. I'd finally learned the lesson. I didn't need to meet anyone's expectations but my own. The competence I'd built in silence was worth more than all their carefully curated connections combined. And unlike their hollow networks, mine would never crumble because it was built on something real.